Hakim Ziyech gets left out of the Morocco squad. Great news for Chelsea, right? Welcome to the Kavkas View, guys. This is going to be a hard video for me to make, so I hope you stick with it. I am ill. Yes, I caught the vid. I'm absolutely dying here, but I need to get you guys this news out, and then I'm going to take a break for 2 days. So I'm sorry there was no match review, but we've got 3 major stories today for you guys, okay? Number 1, Hakim Ziyech gets dropped. I've said this was going to happen. It has happened. We'll talk about the ramifications for Chelsea, which is great. Lukaku and Cho look set to be back. Updates on those two. And finally, we're going to cover the 3 youngsters that have absolutely smashed it yesterday. They played very well. We're going to break them down. We're going to talk about the positives and constructive criticisms of them. And I'll tell you who we got in the semi-final of the Carling Cup coming up. Let's go. Bruh. Hit that like button today. Subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 12k. I don't think we're going to hit it before the end of the year, but I'm too sick to be doing this video and negotiating with you guys. So just support the cause. Alright, so step number 1. Hakim Ziyech gets left out of the Morocco squad and it doesn't look good. And part of the reason that this has happened was because I reported it ages ago. Hakim Ziyech got into an argument with the manager of the team. The manager of the team left him on the bench. Hakim's warm-up to come on was not sufficient. It wasn't deemed sufficient by the manager. The manager all of a sudden left him out of a few squads and even went out into public and named a lot of disgusting things, like called him lazy, called him one of the most disgusting things he's ever seen done on a football pitch. Basically said his heart and soul was not in for the national team and Hakim is all about himself, which in my opinion is not true. I think that is a big accusation to make about a person, and I don't think that's right to do. What does this mean though? It means that Hakim stays with Chelsea, and it means that we're going to have him for January. We're not going to miss those 2-3 games, and I'm not going to lie to you, at this moment in time, we need Hakim Ziyech. We need attacking outlets, so Hakim better hurry his ass back from injury and start playing for Chelsea again, because Chelsea need players. On to some positive news. Thomas Tuchel yesterday reported that Romelu Lukaku and Hudson-Odoi both tested negative, and they are due to come back into the squad as long as they test negative today. The likelihood is they're going to test negative again and they're going to go straight back into the squad. The only thing is, he says he's worried about their match condition, and I am as well. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the recovery after it is actually a bit of a myth. It's not getting ill that's the issue. It's actually going back to the level that you were at one point in time. If you look at Kai Havertz, it took him a good 3 months to recover. If you look at the NBA, Jason Tatum literally had to use an asthma pump in between quarters just to regain his breath, which is kind of mad. So we need to understand when these players come back, the fact of the matter is they're not going to be themselves 100%, so they need to be recovering, but they are a bonus to have back, because at this moment in time we've got Pulisic playing number 9, and I just don't think it's fair. In regards to yesterday, Chelsea absolutely got a professional job done yesterday. Yesterday's job was fantastic against Brentford, and Chelsea were 2-0 victors. I didn't do a match review. I had a bad temperature, so I'm sorry about that, but it was a good performance from Chelsea. I watched the game. I was literally camped out on my sofa, had it on my TV, and life was bad, bro. It was bad. But Chelsea did me proud, man. Trevor Chalobah was man of the match, in my opinion. Fantastic on the ball. N'Golo Kante came on and showed why he's the best player in this Chelsea squad. But Chelsea got a 2-0 victory. Goals from Jorginho and an own goal that came from good link-up play from NG and Reece James. But Chelsea got Tottenham Hotspur in January in 2-legged affair against them. This is great because we're going up against our old manager in Antonio Conte. It's going to be a good test. It'll show us where this team is located. And I'm not going to lie to you, Chelsea are going to be in a great place. There's going to be, I think, 4 weeks of Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, something, a combination of that madness. Great time for content. I'm going to be delivering a lot of content, lots of match reviews, previews, everything. So make sure you're subscribed and you're tuned in. But 3 youngsters had debuts, and I'm going to break down their performances because I think it is important to give a fair analytical criticism, but at the same time credit. Before I get started, I think it's important for me to be extremely positive about those 3 young kids. And I think the 3 young kids came into the team, minimal training. The whole training program was closed for David. They came back in and they were absolutely, had a weeks of training, and 2 days of training, they came back into the team and started. So for me, that's amazing. Match fitness must not have been. But we have to be realistic with these youngsters, because I think there's a common conception. Youngster comes through, has 2-3 games, everyone touts him as the next best thing. Next thing you know, the youngster's falling off the floor because he's just not good enough. Everyone gets anti that youngster. That's not fair. That's you setting unrealistic aspirations for these players. So we have to be honest. What do I know about these kids? This was my first view of these kids. And the reason is I stopped watching youth football. I don't enjoy it anymore. I used to build up a rapport with these players. I used to follow the Boga, Masunda, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Tomori, and that class intensely. I used to watch their games, and it hurts when these players get moved on, and I don't enjoy it. Now, with Tino Livramento moving on and a bunch of other players moving on, I just had enough following the youth team, so I'm taking a little break from that. So it was my first opportunity to look at Vale, Bell, and Simmons. So we're going to talk about them. Bell played number 9. He's got some wild name, man. He's got double, hyphenated. He looks like a regen. He literally comes across like Kai Havertz 2.0 if you look at it. The body language. So he played very well in my opinion. He got subbed off at halftime. Part of the reason was because he just wasn't fit enough to play any longer. And for me, it makes sense. He went up against 3 centre-halves. He held the ball up well, ran around, brought his body around. Few good interchanges where he linked up well. Flicks and tricks. He played a solid game. I wouldn't say he was fantastic, but I'd say he was very solid, and he was very comfortable in possession. A couple of instances where you could see the audacity to try something. It's something that Chelsea have been lacking recently. A lot of the youngsters coming to the side are willing to try. I think a constructive criticism for him would be he needs to improve his explosiveness across 10 yards. That's something that can happen. We saw Harry Kane develop that the older he got. But otherwise, he looks like a very good striker. He looks like someone that's going to be able to have a good frame on him, because he's only going to get bigger and wider the older he gets. So it'll be exciting to see what kind of player he turns out to be. I don't want to make any knee-jerk reactions and label him something that he ain't, but he had a good performance. Harvey Vale was the one that really impressed me, actually. So he played number 10, and I think he was outstanding. So I put a comparison against him and Ross Barkley, and Barkley's the experienced one. Barkley's passing was all over the place. Barkley was just holding on to the ball for holding on's sake. He's actually very lethargic in the way he approached stuff. You look at Harvey Vale, and Harvey was innovative with his passing. He was aggressive with his passing, carried the ball well. He was forward-minded, always on the half turn and receiving the ball on his back foot, which was really interesting because he was always on the half turn. So the ball comes in, got straight into it, he's out, looking forward. And that is actually a testament to Cobham, La Cobham as we like to call it. Cobham really trains out players that are comfortable in possession, that are very proactive in their approach. So for me, it's very exciting to see where he's going to go. He's a very good player. He's one that makes me very excited because I want to see him in squads now. I'm saying I don't want it to be knee-jerk reaction, but realistically speaking, right? We know Ross Barkley isn't good enough for Chelsea. We know Saul isn't good enough for Chelsea. So I don't want to see them playing in the number 10 role because both players aren't going to be here next year. So why not invest into Harvey Vale, give him some minutes, trust it. Look at Tino Anjorin. How we didn't trust this youth. And he ended up leaving. He's a good player. He would add value to this Chelsea side. So for me, Harvey played well. He played 67 minutes. Very good. Simons played a good game as well. He really played a solid game. So apparently he's not a right wing back or a right back. He's more central. But he looked very comfy in possession. He looked very aggressive, and he picked and chose his moments correctly. They were picking on him though. They were consistently sending attacks down that right hand side, and he dealt with it well. There were a few crosses that came in from his side where he did get beat, but that's something he'll have to develop. And especially now that I know it's not his position, I respect it, innit? He came out of his way and he played a good game. The one thing I would say he needs to improve is his crossing. His crossing was fairly poor. I think he had 3 crosses where they consistently hit the first man. He was hitting legs, not airy. He was literally hitting the first man every single time, whipping it, and they weren't getting past the first man. I think he needs to improve that. Otherwise, his link-up play was decent. His athleticism was good. He put in the effort that was required, and he didn't look out of play, which was the important thing. I think the build-up was fluid enough. I think it helps having Aspilicueta behind you, talking you through. Trevor Chalobah was fantastic, and for me, player of the season so far. But peeps, this is my review. Hope you enjoyed it. The Hakim Ziyech news is fairly expected. I've been saying it for months this was going to happen, so I'm glad he's staying. We are going to need him, even though sometimes he gets on my nerves. But hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to take a 2-day break, peeps, so I'm not going to record on Christmas. I'm not going to record on Christmas Eve tomorrow, but I am going to be back on Boxing Day. Match review of the game against Aston Villa at 5:30. So 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, there'll be a video out. Peace out, I'm out. Bye.